the farmer we visited with was Raul Rodriguez, and he started the operation, or he took it over from his father in 1997, and they had about 4,000 hectares then, and he's grown that operation to slightly over 20,000 hectares now. They primarily do sugar cane. Sugar cane is their major crop, but they also do soybeans, a little bit of corn, and cattle. And they're trying some innovative ways to get multiple crops out of their operation and use cattle in a sustainable way. They have four separate operations, so that is divided up into four separate operations, and each one of those operations has its own manager. And the one we were at was primarily the sugarcane operation, and the yeah. So and unlike many operations here, um, they grew by renting land. So they rent a lot of their land, and Raul does most of the rental arrangements with those, or he develops a relationship with those farmers or owners of the farmland.
I take it you probably talked with him a lot about some of the rental agreements. How different are they than what we might deal with here in the United States?
Yeah, they're very different, and given where he's at, almost all of them are denominated in in soybean yield. So and the yield here is bags per hectare, and the rents range from 15 to 25 bags of hectare per bags per hectare. That's agreed upon, and so the individual gets those soybeans, and then generally markets those themselves. That is a different relationship, or we don't. I don't see much of that in the United States, but that is a constant amount, no matter what.
Oh, interesting. So it's very much like the farmer sold him soybean, and he has to
Yep.
deliver regardless of whether he.
Yeah. So he has to deliver regardless. He has to. The agreement is 15 bags per hectare, um, and he has to deliver that. And it doesn't matter what the yield is. So in poorer yielding years, that those bags become a higher percentage of the total yield, and lower in a good yielding year. So actually, your highest cash rent is in the low yielding years, because it's a higher proportion of the crop, and the price is probably higher as well, because the negative correlation between price and yield.
I take it you were very impressed by the bookkeeping and management that he does.
Yes, he's a very good manager. He starts with an agricultural plan every year. So and they sit down with each one of the managers and develop an agricultural plan, which is how each operation is going to be performed on that farm, when, and the pesticide and fertilizer applications amount. Once they agree on the plan, they do a budget and a cash flow, and then there's iterations back and forth to get to a point where everything is acceptable. But that agricultural plan is put in place, and he uses that. He won't buy machinery if it's not in the agricultural plan. So it's all that planning process is very critical. um he there This farm is over 20,000 hectares, which would be somewhere between 40 and 50,000 acres. They also have very good financial controls. They have people devoted to that task, and their financial statements actually are audited. I'm not sure that means the same thing in Brazil as it does here in the U.S., but they 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 develop their financial statements. He also is a corporation, and he is the CEO, but they also have a board of directors, which is primarily family, but they also have an outside board of director on outside person on their board of directors as well. So yeah, very good management wise.
How much labor do they have or employees?
Yeah, so they had 362 employees. 57 of them are in Administration. 305 were operational, and operational would be the guys that run the machinery, manage the farms, etc. We calculated it out, and was roughly an employee per 160 acres. So, the one thing you have to keep in mind is U.S. and Illinois farms are probably more labor efficient than Brazilian farms. Having said that, Hughes was working with sugarcane, which is a more intensive crop than soybeans or corn. So we'll see what the employee situation looks like for some more soybean corn farms this week. And when we look at the cost here, and the number have shown us their cost. You know, U.S. farmers can compete on a cost basis with Brazil farmers. One thing you're going to have to remember, though, is that this is a much less developed country. So as they develop infrastructure and build grain bins on their farm, they're just going to get more efficient no matter what, and they're going to grow because they're just like 100 or so years behind where the U.S. was at this point. So as they build that infrastructure, everything's going to become larger here. So I'm impressed with the uncapped, untapped potential here yet in Brazil. One person told us that there's twice as much degraded pasture that they can bring into production as the cropland that exists here today. And driving around, you see that. So they're going to keep growing. Brazil's going to keep growing.